If you could go back to 2018 you, what advice would you give to you on opening night?
On opening night, Nick already gave me the advice I had opening night, which is just relax and play and have fun, which I would probably give myself the same advice. And back then, I wasn't doing a lot of vocal training.
Mm.
So it was the only way to survive. But yeah, I mean, what was so magical about the show was I was so grateful, and I'm sure you felt the same way Black Friday. Like I was just so grateful to be surrounded by so many talented, funny people, and I was like, I like when I did La Di Da Da Day for the first time, I was like jumping for joy inside because Mariah was there and she was singing beautifully and everybody was just singing and dancing and I had to pretend to hate it. But inside I was like, "Oh my god, this is everyone is so good and talented. This everyone is so fucking good. I'm having a blast." So that's probably the one of the biggest acting moments I had to do in that show was like I had to pretend to hate this, but I loved I love every minute of that.